Welcome to the Alertus webinar series. My name is Jamie Underwood, Director of Marketing Communications at Alertus Technologies. Today's session will cover implementing mass notification technologies in compliance with NFPA 72. We ask that you please hold all questions to the end of the webinar. However, feel free to type any questions in the chat box during the presentation, and we'll be sure to come back to those during the Q&A at the end of the session. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with attendees following today's session. I would now like to welcome today's presenters, which include Ryan Oakley, National Sales Director at Alertus, and Rodrigo Rizal, Director of Client Services at Alertus.
Thank you very much, Jamie. And I'm excited to cover a topic that I know has been very exciting and interesting for our customers, and that's related to fire panel codes. A lot of those things that are evolving and have been for better part of the last 5 or 6 years to allow mass notification to interface with the fire panel, interact, and those kind of things. I'm really excited to have Rodrigo, our Director of Client Services, join us here. Rodrigo is the guy that makes it happen. He knows exactly how these are implemented, works with our customers on a daily basis, so he's a real expert when it comes to implementing mass notification, especially within the codes and with fire panel integrations and those kind of things. So welcome, Rodrigo. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Ryan.
All right. So quick overview. We're going to break a little bit from format. We're going to go right into our topic versus the overview that we usually start with. So we're going to go ahead and do an overview of NFPA 72. We're going to really focus in on the mass notification component and the key layered approach that is outlined in the code book there. That layered approach is with emergency communication systems. That includes visual notifications, audio, those kind of things. So we'll really delve into the different modes at which we can deliver that message. Then we'll talk specifically about the fire panel control interface, how we can interact with the fire panel using it for announcements, reading information from that panel, that kind of thing. And then we'll wrap up with a demo where you'll actually see a fire panel set off the Alertus system, and then when we go through and do an all clear, the automated message will then cascade through the Alertus system as well. That's just one example of an integration, but there's many of them out there. And then we'll finish up with Q&A. So at this point, to focus in a little bit more on the details of the codes, I'd like to turn it over to Rodrigo.
All right, well, thank you, Ryan. So as a quick overview of NFPA 72, just wanted to give you guys an understanding that NFPA 72 covers the application, the installation, location, performance, inspection, testing, and maintenance of fire alarm systems, supervising stations, alarm systems, public emergency alarm reporting systems, fire warning equipment, and emergency communication systems and their components. So, in other words, NFPA 72 encompasses and gives you the installation instructions or the installation and performance requirements for anything that's going to be annunciating throughout your any type of emergency annunciation throughout your environment. However, what the NFPA 72 does not do is mandate the installation of the fire alarm systems. That tends to be kind of a discrepancy that some people think that NFPA 72 actually mandates that you have to install something. Those mandates actually come from the higher levels of higher level mandates. For instance, other codes, federal or state or local ordinances, and other the individual needs of the property owner. So the NFPA 72 code is there for you to look at and follow whenever there is a mandate from a higher level authority, or from your own personal individual needs, or from the property owner, or even from the fire marshal or whoever it is that is telling you that you need to install something there. So whenever anybody comes to you, or whenever there is a code that is specifically stating that there has to be an emergency notification system in there, that's when NFPA 72 code is applied to the installation of said system. All right. So related to emergency communication systems, we want to talk about the fact that there are two different types of systems. Now, an ECS ECS, which is an emergency communication system, is defined by NFPA 72 as a system designed for the protection of life by indicating the existence of an emergency situation and communicating information necessary to facilitate an appropriate response and action. An ECS is intended to communicate information about emergencies, including but not limited to fire, human-caused events, other dangerous situations, accidents, and natural disasters. Now, ECSs are divided into two different groups: one-way communication systems and two-way communication systems. Now, one-way communication systems are intended to broadcast information in an emergency to personnel in one or more specific indoor or outdoor areas. Now, one-way communication systems include, among others, distributed recipient mass notification systems, which communicate directly to targeted individuals and groups that might not be in a contiguous area. Meaning, you are specifically targeting people throughout your environment. You're not trying to just send a catch-all to everyone and try to get everyone or just a couple people in that catch-all. You're able to segregate groups, segregate buildings, segregate different environments within your system to be able to send it to the appropriate responsive team or to the appropriate end users that need to receive that emergency notification. Now, with two-way communication systems, those are used to both exchange info and communicate info such as instructions, acknowledgments, and recipients of message. i.e., whenever there's a two-way communication system, you're able to get information back from your end users. Just like I said right now, acknowledgments and recipients of the message. Now, within the NFPA 72 code, the emergency communication system is separated into different layers. Now, as you can see on your screen, layer 1 is for immediate and intrusive alerting. For different examples of that would be one-way communication systems, which would be a PA system, for instance, where you're able to just kind of announce the alert. Two-way voice communication systems, which would be like kind of a voice interface where you're able to contact the end user with being able to talk to them and find out how they're doing. Visible notification appliances, textual and digital signage displays. Now, in layer 2, that tends to be a wide area layer, which can be described as wide area outdoor mass notification systems. Layer 3 is distributed recipient mass notification systems, which can be broken down into email, computer pop-ups, smartphone applications such as apps, and then reverse 911 or automated dialing. Now, the last and final layer, which is layer 4, is for public alerting, which is more for radio and TV broadcasting or social networks, something that would be going out to the public and be able to do a catch-all for everyone else that you haven't been able to hit with all the previous layers. Now, one-way communication systems rely on just one method in an emergency, which could result in a relatively large portion of the targeted population not receiving the message. So therefore, you want to be able to supplement all your layers with more than just one. So if you choose to have one layer, you might want whenever you do choose to have an ECS with an emergency communication system, you want to make sure that you hit more than one layer so you're able to actually communicate your information to the masses and make sure that you're not missing some people.
Rodrigo, I think ideally you want to have at least one thing from each level.
That is correct. That's actually recommended in NFPA 72.
All right. Excellent. All right. Well, I appreciate that introduction to the code. And yeah, there's the code provides those guidelines that on how to implement the system, what kind of notifications to put in place. So Alertus is very much compliant with the codes and allows you to implement a system that's compliant with NFPA and provide the notification that is demanded by your users, your occupants, and those that are at your offices. So here's how Alertus will issue that message, send that out. We have an activation console that can be either activated from a smartphone, from a PC, could be automatically activated. We could even be integrated with your distributed recipient services. A lot of the big service providers out there are top partners for integration. So you've got the message, whether it's coming from an existing system, automated, or you're generating that from a device that you have. That goes out over your network. We can hit all kinds of different devices. First and foremost, the alert beacon. You'll actually see the alert beacon in the NFPA code handbook as a device that complies with mass notification ECS type device. Keys to that is it's got alert on it. It's got a visual. It's got an auditory. It provides information on what the emergency is and how to react. So an excellent device to be able to deploy throughout your buildings to provide full ADA accessible audio-visual alerting. The LED marquees that came up specifically outlined in the code, that's another way to provide a visual alert. Outdoor notification text-to-speech, as well as the outdoor high-powered speaker arrays, the wide area, that's a solution that Alertus can provide our customers as well, to be able to broadcast that message over a very large area, whether it's large outdoor areas, parking lots, those kind of things, to be able to have that message reach all those recipients, whether they're indoors or outdoors. Public address integration, that will integrate with the fire panel. So the codes have opened up to allow text-to-speech, allow an audio connection into the fire panel to announce any other things other than fire. So mass notification is a primary use now, or secondary use, I guess, for the fire panel speaker system, but a primary way to notify people when you're issuing a mass notification. VoIP phones, you're able to take over modern-day phones that are connected to your network, display the message in textual, have a visual, have the phone lights flash, and then also have an audio tone to get attention. Cable TV override. This can be integrated with any kind of cable TV system, especially campus-related TV systems, where we'll integrate with the emergency broadcast system equipment that you have on campus for what's called your head end. But we can work with TV systems that are very, very simplistic, very small, all the way up through the very largest regional systems to connect into. The Alertus app, that is an excellent way to get the message out to individuals, no matter where they are. That falls on the distributed recipient side of things. Panic buttons, that provides the ability to indicate an emergency, activate an emergency without having to log into any of your devices. So a lot of our customers with active shooter scenarios, those kind of things, lockdown, will a lot of times deploy panic buttons appropriately placed and given to the correct people to be able to activate an emergency either silently or instantly without having to log in. So as you can see, a lot of these things kind of come together to provide a full compliant system to NFPA, and goes above and beyond where we're providing multiple notifications in those layers, as well as giving you many different ways of activating and automating your systems. So let's take a little bit closer look at each of the devices. I mentioned the alert beacon is pictured on in the handbook. Layer 1 relates to means of notifications of occupants by systems equipment installed inside a building and controlled only by authorized users. So that's the alert beacon, our text-to-speech modules, our push-to-talk capability, so be able to activate a panic button and place a call to your emergency response team, and digital signage, display, cable TV override, those kind of things that are able to display that notification within your facilities. So layer 1, you've got a lot of options with Alertus. Layer 2, as I mentioned, with the layer 2 relates to means of notifications of occupants on the exterior of the building and controlled by only authorized users. Alertus provides the high-powered speaker array system with our innovative text-to-speech to be able to provide this notification throughout your outdoor areas. So this covers your layer 2. One note about the text-to-speech over the high-powered speaker arrays: if you've ever gotten on a high-powered speaker array, you have to slow down the way you speak. You have to put pauses between phrases, just so that those announcements are intelligible, because you get a little bit of echo, sound travels at different speeds, those kind of things. So our text-to-speech allows you to, on the fly, generate a message and also ensure that the speed is correct and the pauses are correct for delivery for your message. So it actually optimizes the outdoor notification for outdoor spaces by using the text-to-speech. Layer 3, this one's layer relates to means of notification of personnel through individual measures. So this is getting to your text, your email, your mobile app, your desktop client. Having a desktop client pop up on every Office PC within your organization is extremely powerful. It allows you to reach people that are in individual offices, that are in meetings, that are working from PC, doing presentations. This is really an exciting way to reach your population. And net-centric alerting systems, NCAS, leverage IP networking infrastructure to instantly reach those personnel who have access to nearly any IP-connected devices. So, the sky's the limit. Computers, VoIP phones, desktop pop-ups, all those smartphones, all those different devices to be able to get the message out and provide that notification. Layer 4, this one's where we're able to actually reach out and hit systems that can reach a wider population, blast that message out. So as I mentioned, with cable TV override, we can interface with your campus head-end system and a lot of the emergency broadcast equipment that's required that you have to be able to get that message out and take over your system. Facebook and Twitter, obviously, putting that out there reaches an extremely wide audience, especially if your audience are college students or those that monitor those social media feeds pretty closely. Again, there's other ways to get the message out there, RSS feeds, Atom feeds, integrations with other systems. What all that means, CAP feeds, Common Alerting Protocol, what all that basically means is giving your system a means to put the message out there so that if others want to listen for your message from your organization, they can receive that. So an example is we've got a community down in Texas where there's a number of refineries. The refineries actually got together and purchased an Alertus system that they're able to feed messages into. So if there was a spill at a chemical plant, they could feed from another organization a message into the local system that's distributed at the schools, local municipalities, that will immediately notify those individuals ahead of time. So you can even start connecting systems up so that the message can cascade. So that's all those technologies that allow you to connect up wider systems so you can get local and regional messaging as well into your system. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Rodrigo to cover the Alertus Fire Panel interface. This is really an exciting area where Alertus is an innovator in allowing you to provide messaging and leverage the Fire Panel based upon the NFPA 72 code guidelines.
Sure. Well, thank you, Ryan. But before you pass it on to me, I just wanted to have one question for you. How old is Alertus?
Oh, Alertus is, yeah, we didn't get to that part with the, we usually do the standard marketing slide, but we're going on, 2000, we're going on about 15 years, so we've been in business a long time.
Now, with that in mind, we're 15 years old. I can tell you guys that the mass notification section for NFPA 72 is only going on about 6 years. So as you can tell right there, Alertus Technologies has been an innovator for much longer than NFPA 72 has. So therefore, what I'm going to explain to you right now is not necessarily something that NFPA 72 mandates right now. I'm sure that eventually they will get to it, or just by the reading of different NFPA 72 codes, you can tell that we've been able to decipher them and being able to think of a better technology and be able to leverage the existing technology to be able to do this following information. So, an emergency communication system is intended to communicate information about emergencies, including but not limited to fire. That's part of the definition of an ECS. Now, what some other companies have determined is, okay, well then, we'll have the fire panel, we'll have it kind of, just set off an alarm, and that'll just be an alarm for that system or for that company. Well, what we've been able to do is we've been able to actually interact with the fire panel, be able to take the code that the fire panel is receiving, be it a fire, be it a trouble, be able to just a supervisory alarm, whatever that fire panel is giving out, i.e., kind of like a printer port. As you can see, I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen printers connected to fire panel, and all they do is just print out the code that the fire panel is receiving and all the information that it's doing. So what we've been able to do is connect to that fire panel, take in that same information that they've always been programmed to be able to output and are already outputting. We take that information, analyze it, and based on configuration that we would work with our customers with, be able to take that information, alarm our system, but not just necessarily give you oh, there's a fire alarm, act accordingly. Be able to give you a specific message saying, there is a fire in lobby 2, room 2, send help, or, from a pull station or from whatever the initiation device is. So we've gone and taken it a step further so that we can actually take the information that the fire marshal or the fire department would take about a minute to be able to find the fire panel, be able to take the code, decipher it, because if any of you guys have seen the code, it's a description that's only got about 40 characters, and you need to put in a whole bunch of information in those 40 characters, therefore you truncate it, where we will be able to give you that information, propagate it over to all the computers, all those text messaging and apps, and be able to put it out over the PA system in intelligible text-to-speech voice, where those truncations have been expanded out to actual verbiage and actual words, to be able to have the fire department just show up, and your first responders just show up and automatically know exactly where the fire is and what the initiation device is. So what we wanted, and as you can see, broad applications, the Alertus system can process many different types of fire panel codes and send a variety of predefined emergency alerts. So what we wanted to do was just kind of give you guys a demonstration of how that fire panel initiation by me pulling a pull station would work and be propagated over the Alertus system, so you guys can see that we would be able to propagate the exact message that the fire panel is receiving. So Ryan, if you want to set up the demo.
Yeah, absolutely. You mean we're not actually going to set a fire in here and get one of the smoke heads to go off?
No, definitely not.
All right.
If the building owners let us, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and log into our user interface so you can see when the alarm comes in the system, it gets propagated out. You'll also see the message come up on the desktop that'll pop up. So let me go ahead and also enable the webcam that we've got access to here in the demo room.
There we go.
Go ahead and focus in on the device. Rodrigo, if you want to go ahead and demonstrate the activation.
So just like in any fire panel, you go up to the fire, you pull station, you go up to the pull station, pull it. Now the fire panel goes off. It will set off the alarms. It will set off the strobes. Per NFPA 72, you need to give it about 15 to 30 seconds for that to actually go off so that you're not overshadowing the fire panel. Then our system is able to take that information, display code red, training room 1 pull station. Then we'll also throw it to our text-to-speech module, and our text-to-speech module
red.
will start
Code
speaking.
red. Training room 1 pull station. Code red.
Now
Code
that will
red.
keep repeating as long as
Training
you
room,
want it
one
to.
pull
It's configurable so that you can do it as many times
Code
as you
red.
want, or
Code red.
have it going
Training
only 3
room,
times
one
so that
pull
people
station.
will know exactly where the system is. Now,
Code
fire
red.
department or your
Code
first
red.
responders actually
Training
show
room
up.
1 pull
They
station.
come up to the system. They know exactly where everything is
Code
at.
red.
Let me actually.
Code red. Training
They know where
room,
everything
one
is
pull
at.
station.
They fix the situation, they put out the fire, or so on and so forth. They go up to the fire panel, they clear
Code
out
red. Code
the
red.
pull station,
Training room, one pull station.
and then reset the fire panel. Once that reset happens in the fire panel, the Alertus system
Code
will
red.
receive it
Code red.
and automatically
Training
change it
room,
to an
one
all
pull
clear,
station.
and we'll wait for that right now. There's the all clear.
I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge this so everybody
Go ahead.
can get the screen back. You'll see the activations within our user interface.
Code red.
And as you can
All
see,
clear for vendor
the alert
originating at
beacons have been
training room
configured
one.
so that even if people can't read or can't hear the message, they are configured so that they will see the green flashing lights,
Code
usually
red.
signifying an
All clear for vendor originating at training room one. Code red.
And now you can
All
cancel
clear
that.
for vendor originating
Alright,
at training
okay,
room one. Code red. All clear for vendor originating at training room one.
And that's canceled in our system.
Code red.
And
All
it should
clear
be
for vendor
canceling
originating
on
at training
the alert
room one.
beacons.
Code red. All clear for
After
vendor
this one.
originating at training room one. Code red. All clear for vendor originating at training room one.
All right.
And it's done.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much, Rodrigo.
You're welcome.
So a couple of things you saw there was the information that was coming out of the panel. We were able to create an action where we'd set off the Alertus system. It would convert that text string to voice and make that announcement over the speaker system, and then automating the all clear with standard procedures for first responders that come in, investigate the fire, and then clear out the fire panel. So really, in this situation, because we're able to use those events and existing processes, there's really not a lot of interaction to the Alertus system, but it provides a very comprehensive alerting capability as well. Beyond just the capabilities, I've also got the ability to report on all these messaging. So I can go through and I can look at alert history. The alert system's fully supervised, so I can look at supervisory reports. So you can see right here, I've got the alert history of, here's the code red, training one pull station, code red all clear, originating from training room station. I can go in and I can look at a report where I can verify that all the Alertus devices activated, including the text-to-speech to make that announcement. All the devices activated in the first 10 seconds, which ones. You can see which devices were activated, how long it took for each one to activate, which ones are offline, all that kind of critical information. You can also go through and pick out device acknowledgement. So when the desktop came up on my presentation computer here and display, I acknowledged that so we could get that back. You can see that acknowledgement. There was another desktop that was back behind this one here, MacBook demo. That one did not acknowledge. So you can see which ones acknowledged, which ones displayed, and also who actually clicked the button to take their screen back. In addition to alert history, we've got reports that allow the ability to supervise the system. These reports individually monitor every device connected to the system and provides information related to how it's connected, line voltage, battery backup, all those things that you need within supervised emergency alert systems. This report can be either daily digest sent to you, you can look at it real time, or you can even have it notify you when key devices or any device goes offline. So the system really goes in and is emergency grade, built for mass notification to provide all the compliance with codes and really go above and beyond, as you can see. I know we've done quite a few demos in the past. I can go into a little bit more depth on desktop, those kind of things, but really wanted to focus in on the fire panel integration, which Rodrigo did so very well. At this point, like to jump back on over to the presentation, and we'll start kind of wrapping up our system presentation and demo. And I'll turn it over to Jamie to kind of bring things to a close and also open up for Q&A.
Thanks, Ryan. We would like to open up the floor to any questions you may have, so we do welcome you to type those in the questions box, and we'll get to as many as we have time for. I see that we have had a number of questions come in during the presentation, so we'll get started with some of those. So Ryan and Rodrigo, you all did a really nice job of kind of talking through NFPA 72, how it specifically relates to fire-related events. This question pertains more to non-fire-related events. So the question is, in what ways does NFPA 72 accommodate for the use of non-fire-related strobes or other devices in an emergency?
Yeah, absolutely. The NFPA 72 mass notification allows the use of strobes under a couple conditions. One, it's not labeled fire. If your strobes are labeled fire, they can only be turned on and used for fire situations. If, on the other hand, your strobes within your building are either not labeled or they're labeled alert, they can be used during a mass notification. And we suggest pairing that with the text-to-speech over the indoor notification voice system to be able to provide both that visual and auditory notification. So yeah, that's one thing to take a look at. Now, when it comes to fire systems, if you've got one that the clear strobes say fire, those devices can be excluded from being turned on during a mass notification, and you can still use the PA speaker system associated with your voice evac system to get that message out. That's critical because one of the things that the codes and why you're able to use that sound system that's designed to cover your entire facility with intelligible voice is because for ECS, they wanted more people to have access and regularly use that voice system as their everyday system so that when an emergency occurs, they're more apt to be knowledgeable on how to use that system, how to make that announcement. They're using a system that's got the backups, that's fully monitored and supervised. So really, using that sound system that is very well designed to cover your entire building in your daily use as well as for mass notification is really encouraged by the codes at this point.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Our next question is talking about event triggers. And I think you all touched on this a little bit during the presentation. How can certain event triggers activate the Alertus system to send out a notification? More specifically, what are some examples in which an event might trigger the emergency notification to go off?
Sure. So there are different types of events that we can have. Event triggers could be originating from the fire panel, as you were able to see. They could be coming off of a dry relay, so a panic button that we have, or any type of dry relay that is set off from another system. Also through a API. So if you have another system that can program to our API, we can set it up. We can have event triggers checking into any information that is being broadcasted or received from that other third-party system. We also have, I don't believe Ryan specified the NOAA alerts. We have communication that we can get from from the weather service or from any other type of system that will be able to send information through an API or through a REST API into our system and be able to create event triggers based off of that. Now, those event triggers, just because you're receiving them doesn't necessarily mean that you want to activate your system or even activate your entire system based on it. Like for instance, if you have a panic button, obviously you probably don't want to have your entire system go off on a panic button that's somebody, kind of like an intruder alert when there's somebody right in front of them. because that might escalate the situation. So therefore, you can actually configure these events to activate based on how you choose to on the configuration side. So if that panic button happens, you might want it to just be a silent alert that is either sending out just an email or a text message or a message to the Alertus applications to their phones, so that they don't notify the entire situation and possibly escalate the situation even more.
Great, thanks so much, Rodrigo. Our next question is kind of diving into some of the partnerships that Alertus has with different mass notification systems providers. This particular question pertains to the Synapse integration. So can you speak to how the Alertus system integrates with Synapse, what the benefit there is, and kind of what the end result looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Integrations is really a key for Alertus and something that really sets us apart. We integrate with a lot of major systems out there, including your text message providers, service providers. We really want to fit into your environment. If you've invested in a system like Synapse, we want to be able to leverage that investment and make sure that the message is being deployed and sent out in the best possible way. So that's really key, that integration with those different products and solutions that you've probably either already purchased, you're considering purchasing, those kind of things. So that integration actually with Synapse specifically is an API integration. So there's a very tight integration. The two of us as vendors got together and programmed our systems to work together, tested it, certified it, and have that as a solution that's ready to be deployed in your environment, especially when you have both systems. So, integration is really the exciting piece of the Alertus system, beyond some of the devices and the integration of the Fire panel, which is really innovative, but really allowing you to get the most out of your system.
I just want to jump in there really quickly for some of those out there that don't know what Synapse is. Synapse is a system that is able to leverage your voice over IP phones and be able to send messages to your voice over IP phones through that text, through that LCD screen, and also give you some audio notifications by making the phone have like a beeping noise or anything like that. So the Alertus and Synapse integration is able to give you that information, being able to take that information from the Alertus system, pass it on to Synapse, and have them activate your voice over IP phones.
Wonderful, thank you. Our next question is going back to, you were both speaking a little bit to the text-to-speech functionality. Alertus provides a really unique solution that integrates with a lot of devices. Obviously, it's very pertinent to the Fire panel interface. So kind of going back to that, that capability, what is the preferred method to text-to-speech? Can you go into a little bit more detail about kind of the different options? So a live recording versus a pre-recording versus an approach such as what Alertus takes, and what the benefits there are.
So the benefits between a live recording and a pre-programmed recording with the text-to-speech is really the ability to be able to understand what the message is. During actual emergencies, people tend to either stutter, people tend to do a lot of ums, as you can see how I'm doing right now, and also they tend to kind of rush the message. The ability, the pro that the text-to-speech gives you is that you type it out, you send it out, and it could be a pre-configured message that is already typed out, and you just press the button and you send it off. That text-to-speech message is going to give you a correct pronunciation with the correct spacing in between all those words, the right length of time, as many times as you wanted to, so that a person does not have to be at a microphone for an extended amount of time during that emergency to try to get this information out. Anything you want to put in, Ryan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, both recorded announcements, and, presets, and the text-to-speech provide the ability to control all those things. Unfortunately, the pre-recordeds are pigeonholed into certain emergencies, and we all know, you can expect a certain number of emergencies. Each one is going to be a little bit different, you don't have really the ability to customize that pre-recorded message. With the text-to-speech, you can customize that on the fly. You can add the word, the location, a description of somebody, and get all the benefits of live voice, or not live voice, but get all the benefits of a pre-recorded message, but the flexibility that you get with live voice, with all the benefits of not actually having that person at the microphone, and all the things that can happen with people when they're under duress. So I agree completely. So there's kind of pros and cons between all those, and the benefits of text-to-speech.
Very helpful, thank you. So we do have time for a few more questions, so we do encourage you to type those into the questions box. Really quickly, I'd like to draw your attention to the screen. Just make note of a few really interesting upcoming webinars that we have. In February, we're going to be doing a session that's going to cover kind of reviewing, updating, and testing your emergency preparedness plan. So kind of a deeper dive into what you need to be focused on when you're looking at that plan, when you're updating that plan and doing your testing. Looking into March, we're going to be featuring one of our customers, Dave Ujak from FSU, Florida State University. He's going to be covering campus emergency preparedness specifically to FSU, doing a really nice sort of case study in terms of what their approach has been and what they're looking to do kind of going forward. And then in April, we're actually going to be doing a deeper dive into one of Alertus' solution, outdoor emergency notification solutions. We will be looking at Alertus' high-power speaker arrays, but also, of course, looking at best practices in terms of setting up your outdoor notification, what you need to take into consideration when you're looking to implement an outdoor solution. There is a link there that provides more information, www.alertus.com/Alertus webinar series. You can go there for more information or to register today. Also, just a quick reminder, we are recording this session and we'll be following up, sharing out a link to that recording to everyone who's attending today. But if you do have any questions, please feel free to email us at marketing@alertus.com. We'd be happy to answer any more specific questions. If we can provide more details, just let us know. So jumping back into some of our questions here, our next question is talking about, again, going back to the fire panel integration. Specifically, is the Alertus system approved for use outside of the U.S.? And that's specifically pertaining to the fire panel integration.
So the fire panel integration requires a serial to Ethernet converter. We do have a serial to Ethernet converter that would be touching your fire panel that is, I believe, CE and UL certified. So that should be able to appease anyone asking the question if it's certified to be able to touch your fire panel overseas. Beyond that, Ryan, I think you might be able to answer.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times the general answer is yes. We've had success with integrating, internationally. Internationally, a lot of times, NFPA is used. Sometimes there's international building standards. There's different ways depending on what country you're working with. But generally, even across the U.S., a lot of it depends on the local municipality, the authorities having jurisdiction, and their final call. So you always want to work with us and just verify with each of the individual locations that we're able to support, and they would approve the level of integration that we provide. But what we're doing is just basically scraping information. We're not actually doing any command and control of the panel at this point. So we're just literally a sensor that's monitoring the panel versus actually commanding and controlling with anything outside of just a contact closure or serial port interface. So yeah, back to original questions. We've had a lot of good success with international standards as well with our integrations.
Excellent, thank you. And it looks like we have one final question here. Again, kind of jumping back to some of the integration that Alertus offers. Are there any restrictions to integrating with an existing public address system? This particular attendee is asking about integration with a system such as Valcom IP paging.
Jamie, can you repeat the question? You kind of kept going in and out on that one.
Oh, sure. So this question is going back to integration capabilities. This particular question is asking if there are any restrictions on integrating with existing public address systems, more specifically Valcom IP paging systems.
Yeah, I can field that. No, there's really no code or integration issues with any kind of daily use PA system. In fact, the codes encourage that. Now, that system can't be used as a primary means for notification because of the codes. Especially for fire, because that needs to be monitored, supervised, battery backed up, all those kind of things. But the codes allow you, for mass notification, to use those systems, those non-emergency systems, to still get the word out. They look at it, it's another way to make that announcement. Let's use that means instead of restricting it. So there's no restrictions or code influences on connecting to your local PA systems. In fact, it's encouraged. Any other thing you'd like to add there, Rodrigo?
If you were specifically asking on the integration between our system and an existing PA system, it would really just entail kind of like you're adding a microphone to the system. Our text-to-speech module will just provide a dry relay to that system, which will set off like a push-to-talk button, and then it will automatically start transferring the low-level audio to that system and be able to propagate it out. But yeah, that's as easy as our integration gets with those PA systems.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Thank you both so much. So that concludes today's webinar session. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us this afternoon. Again, please feel free to email us should you find you have any additional questions at marketing@alertus.com. We will be following up with the video recording from today's session, so keep an eye out for that. And we hope that you register for one of our upcoming webinars as well.